to advance innovative voter registration. Empowering women to hold political office has been an interest for Sarah since she first interned at the Women's Council of the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee in college, and has stayed with her as she's begun integrating brain science into young women's civic leadership training, helping women overcome barriers on their leadership journey and step into leadership in any area that interests them, all while knowing that running for office is their birthright. With her vision, Democracy fosters the next generation of leaders who will shape a more inclusive and just society. Everyone, welcome Sarah.
Hello, amazing humans. I'm so glad I'm here. Organizers, can you please enable the chat? Because that's really important to the presentation that people can participate in the chat. Oh my gosh, you are all so nice. Look at the hearts and everything. So I have to tell you first, I am all in for high school. Like all in for you guys. I have put all of my energy and all of my dedication into lifting up high school women. If you are a man on the call with me, welcome. You are welcome here as well. And I wanted to do something very specific today because the topic was hope. So I want to take some of the brain science that I teach high school girls to invest in your mental wellness today as civic leaders who need hope to make real change in our communities and our country. I'm also going to ask the lovely organizers if you can spotlight me on the screen because I'm such a tiny box, but if not, that's okay. Oh, there I am. Hello. So, I especially want to do this, and I'll take questions at the end. I especially wanted to talk about hope because these days hope can feel so far away. So, I wanted to start by asking you, and I'd love you to put it in the chat. When you think about politics right now, what word comes to mind? Can you drop it in the chat? Joke, threat, anger, corruption, chaotic. Yes, right? The words are pouring by. Could we use a little hope, guys? Could we use a little hope? Because I get that. And hope is not just an abstract concept, it is actually something we can get help with as the words pour into the chat. We can learn tools as a young leader to consciously nurture hope and encourage ourselves to take action toward the world that we want to see and that we know is out there. We know it is possible. So I have a master's in social work and a master's in public policy that work together toward this goal. As your lovely person was introducing me, I founded a nonprofit called Democracy to step out of direct political work and teach high school girls both the practical public policy skills for confident leadership and the social work practices to support your mental health and optimistic courage that sustains leadership. And believe it or not, consciously incubating hope to take practical steps forward all starts with our brain. So today we're going to learn a little bit about our friend, the brain, and how to make it our ally. Then we're going to practice two easy brain hacks for hope that you can use right now. And then finally put them into practice by workshopping a growth step together to move you forward as a leader. Okay, so let's get started, my friends. Here is the first question I want to answer. Since we actually all know anxiety isn't helpful, all the words we dropped in the chat, right? Why can't we just stop ourselves from worrying? So intuitively, we think we should be able to just get ourselves to stop. So let's try that right now. I want you to tell yourself, you know what? It's not helpful. Just stop worrying. Let's just cut it out. And did that work? Let's drop it in the chat so we can see if we're the only one. When you say just stop worrying, does that work? I'm seeing a bunch of no's, right? Because that never works, even though it's something we do to ourselves all the time. So the first thing I want you to understand is that you're using a conscious tool when you say just stop to try to cope with an unconscious process. And to understand what that means, let's take a quick, simple journey into our brain's evolution millions of years ago. So, millions of years ago, our cave people ancestors were surrounded by immediate threats to their lives. If there was a super laid back cave person who heard a rustling in the bushes and thought, I'm sure it's fine, that cave person got eaten. We did not get their genes. Because the anxious brains are the ones that survived, those are the ones we've inherited. A brain constantly scanning for threats. The part of the brain we're aware of, where we access our conscious thoughts, it's called the prefrontal cortex, and that came much later. So, because these early brains prioritized survival, they evolved with a nervous system and specifically a part called the amygdala. We're going to get to know the amygdala really well, who triggers you into a physical alarm before the information has a chance to reach your rational prefrontal cortex, what we know as fight, flight, freeze. So when you try to use the rational cortex to say, stop worrying, the amygdala can't hear her. Totally different system. So, since this nervous system runs totally outside our consciousness, let's use an example to illustrate it. So, I want you to imagine right now you look at your phone and you get a text from a friend and it says, we need to talk. Can you immediately feel how your body would start to flood with anxiety? Maybe your heart beats a little faster, you get a pit in your stomach, your mind starts obsessing over what that text might mean. You do not think, I'm sure it's fine. That is the anxious amygdala kicking in, whose whole job is to look out for threats. Evolutionarily, this part of the brain thinks it is helping you by triggering a physical response to a potential threat rather than thinking it through calmly. So normally, we get triggered by that text into a fight flight reaction, and then we re regulate back. But here's where our current news cycles are specifically playing on our ancient evolution, because we can get stuck. If we get flooded by threats to the amygdala, right? Think about the news. We have difficulty re-regulating and we can get stuck in fight, flight, or freeze, which means we're stuck in overwhelm with anxiety or stuck in overwhelm with withdrawal and collapse. Does that sound familiar, my friends? How many of us these days feel overwhelmed by the fire hose of news, either into a constant state of panic or an impulsive need to withdraw? Me too, my friends, me too. It's totally normal. You're not doing anything wrong. But there are specific skills we can take to support us when we get stuck like this, so we can take action in line with our values rather than collapse, two of which we're about to learn. Because as I mentioned, that primitive amygdala who gets triggered by the news, she has a different language than the rational prefrontal cortex we're aware of. And we need to use the right language with the amygdala to make our whole brain an ally as a leader and as a leader who can access hope. And in a lot of different areas, from trauma work to coaching for high level executives, that language is learning to access concrete, supportive allies who have your back. So I have a question for you. Why do we need to resource an ally to be supportive? Why can't we just tell ourselves, you know what, be supportive to yourself? So to understand what we're up against, let's do a quick exercise developed by a woman named Dr. Kristin Neff, who did groundbreaking research on self-compassion. And you will see why developing supportive allies are so critical as a leader. So grab a pen or pencil, or if you don't have access to anything, just do this as a thought exercise. Okay, so reflect for a moment on the following question. Think about a time when you have a close friend who's struggling in some way. So she had a misfortune, she failed, she felt really inadequate, and you were feeling pretty good about yourself. How do you typically respond to your friends in such situations? What would you say if a friend is like, I'm a failure? And what tone would you use with her? Really think about that for a sec. Okay, I want you to reflect on this question. Think about various times when you were struggling in some way. So you had a misfortune or you failed. You're like, I actually failed. You feel really inadequate. How do you typically respond to yourself in such situations? What words do you use with yourself when you have failed? What tone do you use? And finally, consider the differences between how you treat your close friends when they're struggling and how you treat yourself. Do you notice any patterns? Because if you're anything like me, you would never talk to your friends the way we talk to ourselves. That same evolutionary brain that's trying to keep you alive, she develops an inner critical voice that thinks it's helping you by bullying you. Believe it or not, she thinks that's really helpful. And it can be incredibly hard to change the way we talk to ourselves. During news cycles, which are already assaultive, this inner critical voice can make everything worse by beating us up. So being able to support ourselves, it not only helps us feel better, but research shows it's actually more effective in helping us reach our goals when we can talk to ourselves in a positive way. And one way in to that positive support is resourcing allies who can show up the way we need when everything feels like it's overwhelming. So let us meet our first ally called Inner Best Friend. Inner best friend is who we call on when we are overwhelmed or we're losing hope, and she helps ground us, love us, and support us. So, first question, who could be your inner best friend? It's kind of intuitive from the name. Who could you hear as a wise, kind supporter that would be there for you when you need a pep talk or some comfort? Some of us are lucky enough to have a real person in our life that we can use as this inner figure. But even if you don't, science shows any imagining someone works just as well. So I love the inner best friend. You guys are anticipating me already in the comments, right? My inner best friends are my puppy dog Branch and Barack Obama. They encourage me and support me, and they have so much hope. So I love this. And you are actually building connection and community, protecting your brain by crowdsourcing the inner best friends in the chat. I love it. Go through the list and like grab some of these for yourself and like share them that if we have these together, we have so much strength. All right, so this is your inner best friend. And the other ally is called an inner champion. An inner champion gives us strength and helps us be brave. The inner best friend supports us and comforts us. An inner champion helps us be bold and try something new. This is really important to help us step out of our comfort zone when we're nervous because the brain is trained to see something new as a potential threat. And guess who kicks in? That is right, it is the anxious amygdala. There is a reason when you start to think of something that's out of your comfort zone, you procrastinate and find yourself scrolling through YouTube or Instagram. Have you ever noticed that when you need to study or fill out an application and it's making you kind of nervous, you find yourself procrastinating even though you know rationally you need to get it done? Right? Can we drop in the chat if that resonates and you find yourself on TikTok? Like, right? So human. That same amygdala that thinks she's helping is trying to take you away from something that feels uncomfortable, like studying or applying. But procrastination creates a short-term comfort of TikTok versus the long-term comfort of taking action that we feel strongly about. So we want to call in allies to help overcome this amygdala discomfort that makes us procrastinate and help us be brave to follow through on things that are important to us, to have the hard conversation, to show up as who we actually want to be. So who is the figure in your life that you would trust to help give you courage? It can be someone you know. It can be somebody from fiction, right? It's like a mom. Taylor Swift is one of mine. I love Hermione. God, my mom, Obama, my dad, right? This is your champion. This is your champion. It can be Martin Luther King saying, "We shall overcome because the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice." It can be AOC as she says, "We take this one step at a time. And remember, whatever you can do is enough. You're on a team of millions of people." It can be Maxwell Frost reminding you that sometimes hope is a feeling and sometimes hope is a choice. We choose hope, right? Who can authentically give you that message to be brave when things are hard? My inner champions are Stacey Abrams, Martin Luther King, and Megan Rapinoe. So the reason we learn these amygdala allies, like inner best friend, inner champion, is to help us take action in line with our values. So we are going to workshop that right now. We're going to pick a specific action where you would like to challenge yourself. You would like to challenge yourself to take it right now in your journey as a leader, and we're going to workshop it. And as we think about what to workshop, I want to introduce a social work concept called safety, growth, and overwhelm. In safety, we don't challenge ourselves at all and we learn nothing. In overwhelm, we push too far too fast and we learn nothing. The sweet spot we want to aim for is the space of growth, where we're challenging ourselves to be slightly uncomfortable and try something new, but we're not pushing ourselves so far that we go into overwhelm and offline. So that is what we're going to workshop right now. What is that challenge or step you can imagine yourself taking that asks you for growth? Is it, if you're already in a club, is it applying for leadership of the club? If you have a politician you like, is it signing up to take action at her or his campaign? Signing up to volunteer at a food bank or animal shelter? Running for office at your school? What is the challenge that asks you for growth that you want to workshop? I love them already coming into the chat, right? Starting a club at school, learning Spanish, starting a nonprofit, building something, signing up to volunteer, speaking, buying a saxophone. I love it. I'm with you. So we are going to workshop this. And remember, your growth step is uniquely yours. Gently let go of comparing it to anyone else's. It's what is meaningful to you. Okay, so now we're going to workshop it. I want you to imagine that you're taking your growth step, the thing you put in the chat. Let yourself open to the idea you're really doing it. And as you do so, notice that because you're stepping out of your comfort zone, your brain, your amygdala is going to be slightly uncomfortable. So we know this is happening and we go straight to our inner champion. What would our inner champion have to say? What would she say to encourage you? And I want you to drop it in the chat. Let's hear from our inner champions. What would he, she, or they say about us being brave and trying something new? What would she say? Put it in your chat. Believe in yourself, right? You got this, girl. Don't stop. Never give up. Believe in yourself. You got this. I love this, right? So we turn to our inner champion to help us push out of discomfort and be brave and step into action that feels in line with our values. All right. So now imagine that you did it. Your inner champion supported you. You signed up, you step into leadership, you bought that saxophone, you ran for office. Now is where we call on our inner best friend to reinforce the positivity of you being courageous and bold. So, what would your inner best friend say about the fact that you showed up this way? And let's drop it in the chat. What would your inner best friend say? You did it, right? You're amazing. You girl, you ate with that. I'm proud of you. If you give up later, you will regret it, right? This is amazing. Inner best friend wires in positive reinforcement for doing something brave, and she protects our inner life and builds joy and positivity and reinforcement exactly when we need it. And finally, we use these concepts with our friends. All of us need each other. That is wired into us as humans. And sometimes, no matter how strong our allies are, our inner best friend or inner champion gets drowned out. That's okay. That's exactly when we reach out and we use these phrases as ways to ask for what we need. Because sometimes people default to problem solving when what we need is support. So these are handy phrases to ask for what you need. Hey, I need an inner best friend right now. I need an inner champion. I do this with my husband all the time. So I'd like to ask you to identify 2 to 3 people in your life or on the Zoom with you here today that you can reach out to by text or DM and ask to be your inner best friend partner. That you will text a heart and they'll text a puppy dog picture. You will text I cannot in all capitals and they will call you and be that inner best friend. We are but human beings. We are wired for connection. I not only know these skills, I teach these skills. And I still have a pact with my real life best friend to text me a heart when I say I need an inner best friend, or she'll text back just one step at a time. And I do that for her because we never do this alone. We do it as a team. We are each other's inner best friends. So I am almost at the end of our workshop. I hope you're intrigued by some of these new ways to harness your brain as an ally. And before, if there's time, I take questions. I wanted to ask, give you some reminders to help you move forward. Practice, practice, practice. The fancy term in psychology is cognitive rehearsal. In the same way you can't run a marathon the first time you run, you won't necessarily get the full benefits the first time you try inner best friend and inner champion. The key to practicing is having ways to remember to practice and build this in your life. Could you set a partner to text at the end of your day to see if you were able to be an inner best friend? Could you put an alarm on your phone or a post-it note on your bathroom mirror that says inner champion? What could we do to remember to practice? And let's brainstorm together. Can you drop in the chat a way you might remind yourself to practice the skills? Right? I love that people are connecting in the chat to be inner best friends to each other. I love it. A motivational alarm, setting reminders. Oh my God, you guys, yes, please. Please, if you want an inner best friend partner, put it in the chat. And then put your DM, put your Instagram handle so that she can find you. Okay. And leave here with an inner best friend. Um, okay, I love this. I wanted to thank you for spending time with me today as you're finding inner best friends in the chat. I'm so grateful and excited to see what growth steps you take on behalf of our communities and our country to make it a better and more hopeful world. So to close, we're going to practice our allies one more time. What would your inner best friend say about you coming to this Zoom to help learn a little bit about how to show up for yourself right now? You could be doing anything right now, and you came and invested in yourself. Can we type in the chat what our inner best friends would say about us taking the time to be here together as a community? You've learned something new, so proud of you. You got it. Good job. You go. Meanwhile, I love the inner best friends. And then one last question. We might have a second for questions if that's available. You guys, connection and community is so important right now. I want to ask this. What would your inner best friend or inner champion say to the other amazing people in the room with you today? Can we drop that in the chat? What would she say to the other people with you on this Zoom? You all are amazing. You can all do it. You're awesome. Great job. You guys were lovely to participate with. You're all amazing. The sky is your starting point. We got poetry in the chat. So nuggets, all amazing high school girls are nuggets and sweet peas. I am so grateful to get to spend time with you today and learn a little bit about how to use our brain to incubate hope as the civic leaders we know we are. If you are interested in learning more about these skills and civic leadership and you are a high school girl, please apply to Democracy. I'm going to drop some information about my organization in the chat right after this. And then I just want to say, absolutely wonderful and inspiring young leaders who it has been such a joy to get to spend this time with. There is an America who has never yet been, but absolutely could be. I not only continue to believe in her, I double down on her. And I believe she will be realized as each one of you steps into your rightful roles as leaders in our country. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I just reading through the chat, people love your energy, and it's truly so empowering myself as a young woman. So if anyone has questions, feel free to put it in the chat. We have a couple minutes for Sarah to answer them. Okay, we have a question from Mayer, if I'm saying that right. Just asking, alongside Democracy, do you know any other women-empowered organizations that participants can get more involved in?
I was like, there's someone appeared on the screen. Um, any other organizations? There is, oh my gosh, what is it called? There's an amazing one if you do high school girls Running Start. Running Start works with high school girls on running for office, just like Democracy, but goes to DC to do so. Um, and that is a great one. And then I will say Civic. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm completely blanking. I'm just going to name that. It's so embarrassing on a call. But there's a Civic Center is something that does high school registration. I know, thank you, CLC. I'm laughing too. Civic Center does registration in high schools and is a great way to get involved.
Then we have another question from Sophia R. Do you have any advice for women getting into politics?
That is my favorite question. I was the Get Out the Vote director for the California National Organization for Women. And part of the reason that I stepped out was because women who step into politics get such different pushback and it amplifies across any intersectional identity. So I do think, believe it or not, there are many practical steps you can take, like get immediately involved in a local group that aligns with your values, either Republican or Democrat. If you start getting involved immediately, you'll start getting to know people who will then encourage you to grow. But I will also say, if you are a woman wanting to go into politics, the very best advice I can give you is start practicing your inner best friend and inner champion now. Because by the time you run, you will have embedded her for 10 years. And when people make dismissive comments, hurtful comments, you will have a go to inside to bat it off and protect your precious inner life, which is the reason I stepped out of direct politics and formed Democracy. Was I was like, we can't ask young women, especially intersectional young women, to step into politics without protecting them. So I will say both get involved with your local political party and keep practicing these to protect yourself as you go into politics.
And then one last question, more about yourself. How did you initially get into being interested in empowering women? And if you have a story specifically, feel free to share.
Oh my gosh. So you guys, I actually came up as a social worker with our unhoused community dealing with mental illness. I got a master's in public policy and a master's in social work to fight for them. And it was the election of 2016. I was like, time to be a social worker for the country, and switched and went into voter registration and working with the National Organization for Women. And that was where I was shocked to see that even now in 2026, only 27% of Congress is women. And women of color make up only 9% of Congress. It is 2026. That is crazy. And it's being celebrated as historic highs because they're not even a third. So we really have to start with the pipeline, which is why I'm so glad all of you are on this call. You are where we start recruiting you. Think about running for office. Think about getting involved with your local political party and start working on campaigns because those are the people that will then ask you to run. Because we need more women in elected office and we need the radiant spectrum that is female identifying in office.
Well, thank you again, Sarah, for your time and wisdom. We truly appreciate it. Now I'm going to pass it on to Relitza.
Hi guys, I'm Relitza and I'm a sophomore at Princeton I go to Princeton. I'm a sophomore at Princeton from Virginia Beach, Virginia. This is my second year with the YAC, and I'm super excited to be here. So I have the honor of introducing our fourth and final speaker, Dairanis Gurion Berhil. And she is from the Dominican Republic and came to New York at the age of 13. She's very passionate about gender equality, education, and the arts. She is a nonprofit professional, community organizer, and social entrepreneur with her background in international studies and nonprofit management. As part of her passion for music, she founded Mi Gente Latinx Music Festival. Theranis also graduated with a master's in public administration and nonprofit management from the Marx School of Public and International Affairs at Bruges College. Baruch, my apologies. And as an undergraduate student, she volunteered for 2 years as an AmeriCorps member at the Grand Street Settlement in 2020. In 2012, she received the Obama AmeriCorps Award of the Year. And as a program coordinator at Generation On, the Youth and Family Division at Point of Light, Doranis also helps manage multiple campaigns and initiatives to inspire youth to get involved and bring positive change at their communities. Doranis also believes that more than ever, youth need access to tools and resources to help them stronger, community-minded, and active civic leaders. She believes that Generation Citizen can provide a tangible opportunity for young people to take action and make the change that they want to see happen in their community. She also loves traveling, as it is the best way to educate yourself about the livelihood of different cultures and to see the world from a different perspective. So everyone join me in welcoming Deranis.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. It's such an honor to be in your presence. Every time I'm surrounded by or in collaboration with young people, I feel so honored. Especially, I want to thank all the organizers. I know this space is youth-led, and it was such a beautiful information to know, as definitely we need to create more spaces like this one in which young people are sitting at the table making decisions. So I have a PowerPoint that I want to share with you all. So just to share a little bit about, can you see my screen? You see the presentation? Yeah? Okay. So I just want to talk a little bit about Generation Citizen. And today specifically, it's such an honor to be in community with you all in commemoration of Martin Luther King Day. And it's so beautiful to be able to discuss about this idea of the power of imagination to visualize our civic future. I think it's such a segue to the previous workshop that you just have because, as the previous presenter mentioned, we need to take care of ourselves first and be our inner champions and champions in order to visualize into our society and into the future that we want to create for all of us. So, um, the topic for today is about, before we start
I'm
discussing,
sorry to interrupt. I think we're seeing the wrong screen. We're seeing your speaker
oh,
notes.
oh, I'm so sorry. Give me
No
one sec.
problem, no problem.
Thank you for letting me know. That's why I was asking. Let me see 1 second. Let me stop sharing. I believe this is the one. Okay. What about now? Yeah, that's the
Perfect,
correct one. Yeah, there we
perfect.
go. Thank you. Um, so currently, how many of you know about this term, America 250? I know there's some people from other countries in this space, but like in the emo, you can use the chat or you can use the thumbs up. How many of you have you heard about America 250? So it seems like it's a new term that many of you potentially today is your first time hearing. So, and I'm going to make the connection why we are discussing this specifically today. So, America 250 is it marks the 250th anniversary since the year of the signing of the Declaration of Independence in 1976. And it's a prominent effort for America 250 to include the commemoration and commissions led by the president, libraries, museums, historical societies, and bipartisan congressional caucus and state commissions. So basically, America 250 is celebrating the 250th celebration of the creation of the Constitution of the United States. So we are in a pivotal moment to exactly do what we've been discussing during this summit, to imagine, to create, to envision the future of our democracy. And it's extremely important more than ever for young people to have the tools, the resources, and they believe in themselves that this is possible. Because if you think about it, we are living in a society that someone imagined for us. So why can we not also imagine the society that we want for the future and for the future generation? So at Generation Citizen, we have an initiative called Future 250. And the goal of this initiative is a programming that shifts the perspective of America 250 from a nostalgic and heritage focused approach to a future oriented approach with Future 250 as thinking as freedom dreaming, strategic foresight, future visioning, which is a method that are essential of civic engagement in critical 21st century civic skills. So you might ask yourself, like, how is this related to the summit? Let me see next. So let's revisit Martin Luther King, who he was as an advocate, as a change maker. So Martin Luther King, if we want to create that correlation of future legacy, is that he had the courage to imagine a society where equality, justice, and dignity were real for everyone. He also used imagination to in his work that allow people to see themselves beyond the limits of the present realities. During a time of segregation, violence, and systematic oppression, he was able to envision a society where people came together to learn together, communities governing by fairness and the law that truly reflect democratic ideals. Also, his work led to landmark changes like the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act, demonstrating how visionary ideas can become concrete policies when citizens engage collectively. So we are all familiar with "I have a dream," and I don't think there's a better phrase than envisioning civic future. I have a dream, and that dream, you have the power to envision it, to visualize it, and to create it. Because again, the society that we're currently experiencing, someone dreamed of it. And I know in these times it's really difficult to visualize, to envision. But again, think about I can create this future. And I think that's a very powerful position to be as you're not letting the outside situations to control your vision or your dreams, but what you in your heart think is the society that you want to create. So all of this is also based in this book that we base a Generation Citizen, this idea that is called Imagination Manifesto by Ruha Benjamin. And basically, what she's calling us to do is to think about what is the role of your imagination can play in your daily life? How does it affect how you perceive the past, the present, and the future? How do you hone or energize your imagination to think creatively? And the most important thing is that I think the power of this tool is like you can create and imagine. There's no limits on what you can create and imagine. So we're gonna do now an exercise that is gonna walk you through that. It's gonna help you to exercise that muscle because it's a muscle to have, especially with all the propaganda, all the words, all the news, all the hate that we are experiencing in current society. I know this is really hard. So we're gonna do an exercise together called Never Ending Story. And basically, in this session, we're going to engage on an exercise in which participants are going to uh, create a narrative sentence and a story with a narrative center. And basically, you're going to be divided into breakout rooms. Then each person will add a sentence, and then each group will need a writer, timekeeper, and reporter. And then I will ask two groups, and depending on how much time we have, to share what are your thoughts about this exercise. And I'm just giving you an example how it looks like, so you can have an idea. So as you can see here in the first group, number one, it says, once upon a time, there was a bunny who could moonwalk but not hop. And then you see the other sentence. The other bunnies hop around and laugh at the bunny who could work moonwalk. And then the person continues the sentence until they end the story. So now I want you to put your imagination cap on, and I want you to think about 50 years from now, what democracy looks like, how it has evolved, and why and how. So you're gonna have, I believe we're gonna be together until 3:15. I want to give you at least 10 minutes so you can work together in breakout rooms. And then we're gonna come back and I would love to hear from the group and see how you feel about this exercise. So now I'm gonna stop sharing the room because I wanna give the facilitators a number of breakout rooms that we will need. I was doing the calculations as I was in the waiting. So we have 26 participants. So I think if we can have 25 breakout rooms, that'd be great. And you'll be there for 25 minutes. But before we go into breakout rooms, I'm gonna drop in the chat the document that you can work on before I forget. There you go. Can everyone have access to oh, give me 1 second. I just drop it in the main chat, the document in which you're all gonna do the exercise. Does everyone has access to it? Can you use your thumbs up?
I think we'll need access.
Okay, let me check. Uh, it says anyone with the link. You don't have access to it?
Let me try again and see.
Oh, let me see.
Yeah, I was not either able to access it as well.
Oh, now I'm able to get in.
Okay, is it working now? No? Okay.
I I was able to get in now. I'm not sure if the link you sent me in the private DM works for me, but the link you sent to everyone does not work.
Okay, let me check. Maybe let me use this one. Okay, I'm gonna resend. Should be working now. Try the second link I sent.
Yep, that's good.
Can everyone access it? I see nuts. Yeah?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So now we can go into breakout rooms and you can hop in any of the groups. And you can start the sentence. And I just for a check-in, you understand what we're doing, right? Thumbs up? Yeah? Okay. So you're gonna have 10 minutes and each person can go around completing the sentence. And I want you to put your um, imagination cap on and let's think about how our society will look in 2050.
For those of you who are still in this main room, please let us know if we can help you access the breakout room. Turn your mic on and let us know that you're working on it and you need some help. If you're just joining us, I'm going to put something in the chat.
I
And
can reshare the link.
thank you so much for doing that. And then I will assign you to a room and you can join the room and discuss the
I'm
prompt.
not being able to join a room. Like, I don't know the reason.
Okay. What is your name?
My name is Abram.
All right, let me see if I can.
I'm also not able to join any room.
In room 7, Abrar, and see if we can. It's not showing up here.
I don't know why, but I'm not able to join any room.
On this.
I'm gonna
Hey,
hop
sorry.
around. Okay. I'm just gonna hop around and checking how they're doing.
I just needed help like getting in a small group because my internet wasn't working, so I get out of the reunion and enter again. So if can someone put me in a small group, please?
I'm having the same difficulty as well on my end.
We're working on this. Thanks for your patience. Jimena, do you know which room you were supposed to go into?
Hi.
Hi, Favor.
I think we need help. I think we need help to access the document.
Okay, let me see. And what we put on the document, is it just like imagination based? Yes. Yep, absolutely. Let me see to. I don't see how to edit it. It's not letting me write. There you go. Can you try the link I just put in the chat again?
It looks like other people are on it. So hopefully, are you guys able to edit now?
Yes, we are. Thank you so much.
You're
I don't know
welcome.
if the rest are, but
Have a great conversation, y'all.
We can start bringing them back because it's gonna take a minute for the breakout rooms to close.
All right, I just closed the rooms. It'll take about 60 seconds.
Exactly. Hmm. Oh, I love the comments. I love the stories written in the, and I can share with your team after this, so you can use it as quotes as well. So welcome back, everyone. I see people still coming back from your rooms. I just want to say thank you. I love I've been able to read a little bit of some of your stories, and it just gives me so much hope because as you write it, you're already making it real because you put it in on black and white on paper, and I want you to reclaim that future, that vision that you have. I want you to feel ownership of that society, of that future. But before we continue, I just want to check in with you, like how you feel about this type of exercise, how it resonated with you, and do you feel this is something that you can use in the future? You can come off mute or you can drop it in the chat. Time, I agree. Can someone share a little bit with me? How was your experience of this idea of visualizing the future? Okay, I see it in the chat. Super enlightening, hearing everyone ideas and the issues that are the most prevalent to them. I see some of you have issues with the technology. It was good, made us introspect. So I just want to read one that I was able to capture, that I thought it was very thought-provoking, and I really appreciate the time. So Group 17 wrote, in the year 2050, democracy has evolved because a greater amount of youth have become involved in civic issues. With technology becoming more advanced and available to people across the world, becoming involved in government will be easier and more accessible. The addition of youth into the government, combined with accessible knowledge and more opportunities, will lead to a greater understanding between people of all ages and demographics, creating a more united, open-minded, connected country and society. There will be more policies involving around climate change, and campaigns will focus on the individual stance on climate change and global warming issues. So this is such a beautiful, and to me, it sounds like the I Have a Dream speech of Martin Luther King. And again, speaking into existence. I want you to keep that, remember that you and your power of imagination can imagine the society that you want to see in the future. I thank you all so much for your time, and please let me know if you have any questions.
Right. Hello, everyone, again. Thank you so much to Generation Citizen for sharing your experiences. In the closing of today's Youth Summit, we would like to ask you to fill out a reflection survey. Let us get the slides up so that we can show you guys the QR code to do that. Awesome. So go ahead and fill out that survey if you have a chance. If you can scan the QR code, that would be great. Let me see if here should be the link for the survey. All right. And then also, for your amazing participation and your contribution to youth empowerment, we would like to offer you guys a personalized certificate for attending today's summit. If you're interested in receiving a certificate, fill out this form here. There is the QR code. I'll go ahead and send the certificate link for the form. And I do want to note only those who fill out that link will be sent a certificate. So if that is something that you're interested in, please go ahead and fill it out. Okay, all right. Before we wrap up today's summit, I also wanted to mention some of NYLC's other programs. We host a podcast called The Power of Young People. The CEO of NYLC, our lovely Amy, interviews impactful young people around the nation and spreads their experience and shares their experiences and missions. Please listen. We also have our other social media places on here, so don't be afraid to follow us there. And yeah.
Hi everyone, my name is Nina and I'm a first-year Youth Advisory Council member from New Jersey. Prior to joining YAC, I was part of Youth Solutions for 2 years and loved this opportunity. So I wanted to tell you all today more about Youth Solutions. Through Youth Solutions, you get to work together on creating a project that will tackle a core impact area in your community. And through this experience, you'll receive additional youth leadership training similar to what you've heard today, funding to support the project you and your team come up with, as well as the opportunity to present your project at our national conference. If you're interested in one of the core impact areas listed on the slide, please find more information on the QR codes on our website. And if you have any remaining questions, please let us know in the chat. And that concludes our summit. Huge thanks to everyone, the presenters, and all of you for choosing to spend MLK Day to learn more about service learning with everyone. Thank you so much and have an amazing day.